Visa run, the routines are there and the plan was simple. Charge the 3 cameras for tomorrow, empty the memory cards and then bed. Right. This is the short story. 0.17, pack the backpack, sort the cameras etc. for a bit over 1 hour. 5.30, wake up alarm. 6.15, transport to the collection point. 7.30, onward transport to Myanmar. 22.00, latest return home again. We are a total of 11 people, 1 Thai, 1 Swede, 2 Belgians if I remember it right and Russians, and so the journey can begin. These trips are starting to leave their mark. I create memories along the way that will be repeated the next time I travel the same route. Today we took a different route for the last bit, which was appreciated, although I slept most of the first part of the trip as I had the good idea to charge the cameras, which didn't give me many hours of sleep. Some will laugh with me, some will in time. But if there's something I think most of us is late with, it's having the batteries charged and the memory cards ready on time, which is at the same time you get the idea. I rarely do other than spontaneous projects. I try to learn, but a lot of patience is something I'm short of. I guess a large part is about the volume of knowledge I want, need, and must learn at once only to do this. Photography and film and editing of these two. Then we have sound. It is probably the most important effect in a film, and I know nothing more about it than that it is important. I have a lot to learn, but I've also learned a lot. It's easy to forget to pat yourself on the back. The organizer arrives when most of us have started to get into the car. He comes to take my hand and we greet each other politely and talk about Christmas and so. I am shown to the front seat, again, which I am not complaining about as the car is full of passengers and no one in need due to health issues or so. So yeah, fuck him taking the front seat. I would guess that the average age on this trip is 32 to 35 years, so I can't answer who more than me slept, but some almost missed the first rest stop. Today we ride in the party van. Inside is dressed like a limousine from the 90s. Plastic panels in gold and dark brown woodish, a bar of course, a table fan as compensation for a fully functioning air condition, some LED light and it's all screwed or glued on. I've learned to bring a warm sweater, it can get cold. 2 quick breaks, but the journey still took almost 17 hours. Something I know others have reacted strongly to, and I understand them. According to the information given in written form as a text message, the journey there should take no longer than 4 hours. That's 550 kilometers, with a fully loaded van and minimum 210, more like 20-minute stops for toilet etc. It is physically impossible even if this car can keep full speed all the way. The majority have started to get annoyed by this. It doesn't matter to me, it takes the time it takes and I can't do anything about it, so why bother? My business, your business, and God's business. I accept the situation and instead enjoy the journey and soon, also the silence again. We have been driving for about an hour when the silence slowly breaks in the car. The Russians start to get to know each other and the conversation volume slowly rises as more people slowly wake up. It seems many had a late night, but each for different reasons. They here speak a clean Russian, clear and easy to understand what is a word, a sentence, etc. My synapses connect easily when it comes to languages, so when one guy points out that he needs to charge his phone, I can't hear if he said iPhone or Android, so I ask. It goes dead quiet instantly in the car, all except the Thai who hasn't grasped the situation yet and keeps on talking. It doesn't take long before the talking is back and everything is back to normal, and I fall back asleep soon after knowing they are choosing their words better this time. I wake up before the intersection where our previous driver was cheated on the change, but today there is not much activity. Neither salesman nor cars. What time is it? Shortly after 9 a.m., I try to stay awake but in vain. The music in the headphones does its job and there is no reason to be awake. I never took all the cameras with me. I know, and yes, it's okay to laugh. We've been going for about an hour. When I wake up next time, I know where we are, I just don't know what it's called or where it is on the map. It doesn't take a second and I'm awake. I've woken up just before a nightmare starts to play out and I know what lies ahead. Most likely, a violent death where the body is no longer solid but more in parts and a messy kind of paste. I've seen it before. The road is partially blocked so that an accident has occurred, that everyone has figured out, but from the chaos that prevails on the road, I realize that it happened only a few minutes ago. We slow down, parry between the cars crossing the road and the many smaller pieces of plastic. Nothing here is right. Where is the rest of the accident? We arrive at an opening about 30 cars. Now we have all the pieces of the puzzle. A plastic cover from the moped, rear tire, side mirror. This didn't go well. Then comes the moped. Yes, what's left of the engine? Wait. Up ahead is the front fork, the rest of the plastic covers, and in the middle of all this, a guy in his 20s. In total this accident covers about 100 meters of the road, and I'm trying to locate a helmet, because he has no visible injuries on his face and not much on the body, and you usually get scrapes in the face even with an open helmet. I don't see any, but that doesn't mean he didn't have one. It's unusual though. Nothing moved more than the people on site clearing the road of debris and the person stroking the boy's hair, as he lay in her lap with his head tilted forward. The kid, if he survived, I don't know if it was for his best interest or not to not wake up. But, if he survived that, he fought the gods for sure. Although he was in one piece, he was anything but whole inside, that I do know, and by what I did say of the bones, and so, he ended up in between them cars and most likely one of them ran him over. You don't need to know the picture more than that. That accident was the center point of accidents during our trip. In the short time I managed to be awake before this situation, I saw many, and mainly dogs, which I have not seen more than maybe 2 of in all this time, killed by cars. Today it was 7 what I could tell. Some might been other animals. You simply could not tell more than it was bigger than a cat. When we got to the downhill part, between the mountains, we could see the traces of rain along the road, new traces of large vehicles saved by the road barriers and trees, and the places where they were not enough. We never saw more of that. It was too steep and too deep down on the side of the road. It was as if someone had put an extra filter over this day, a surreal reminder of life and death without directly affecting anyone around, but more putting a blackish grey tone of the Dark Ages over everything. We arrive at the harbor, and until now I have shielded myself with my headphones. I have no desire to act as a tour guide today. The car is emptied and everyone is now standing like chickens waiting for information. Yeah. I correct the situation. Forward march travelers, this way to Im. And so Freya broke the permafrost again, pragmatic and cut in stone, but still I can't help it, and it costs absolutely nothing to be polite and helpful. And, if I'm being disgustingly pragmatic, it's even faster to get home again if I step in and fix the situation. Because as I said, people are already irritated by the extra hours just on the journey here. They begin to realize that when it is dark it takes even longer to get home. The equation of 9 hours becomes closer to 16 hours or more in total. So those who don't want to kill anyone, gratefully accept the directives in mutual understanding and do as asked. I show everyone into the waiting room after everyone leaves their passports to the staff, who gratefully smile at my gesture to assist them in this way as well while I explain how this works. The information that is handed out before departure is not about this part. It is about the duty-free shop and the arcade and all the promises it can bring. What I don't understand others have told me during other trips. We're doing fine. The first ones have started to fill in the voucher, so I step forward and start my departure to Myanmar. Immigration, you have 2 days overstay, 1000 THB, cap, thank you. Okay, he said. What? How do I solve this? Invoice, laughable to even think the thought, I find myself thinking when I think it. Time to make a call. I collect my papers, get my passport and rush off with the phone already pressed to my ear. Because I'm a bit stressed, if I don't pay I can't leave the country, then I can't renew the visa, and every day I stay in the country costs me 500 THB. I can't leave here without solving this, but I only have one way, but unfortunately it doesn't solve the situation here and now. Fuck it. I swim and solve the return trip of 550 kilometers by walking if I have to. And I would have if I decided to. Some know by experience. That's how I work, the simplest solution here and now. Bang, run, no time to lose, but I know it doesn't solve anything, rather makes things worse. Without an exit stamp, I will not get an entry stamp in Myanmar and have by so to leave the country. Where should I swim? Thailand won't let me in again. Thoughtful, not always, but have I ever claimed to be bored once I'm on the move? While my brother is on the phone and comes up with a quick review of possible solutions and my mind wanders to swimming, I hear a voice in the background, can we pay? Sir, sorry, is it to any help if we pay? As the Holy Mary said, come again. The couple from Belgium offer to pay for me if that is a solution. If it is the only one I have available, then the question becomes, how proud am I? Because I'm proud, I know, you don't step on my toes unnecessarily, and help can sometimes be perceived as that for many, but I'm not one of many, I'm only me. So I politely ask if the information was correct, then hang up the phone and take a deep breath and thank them from the bottom of my soul for the help, and quickly counter with questions about how we are going to resolve the refund. And I find myself rambling what I just received by my brother. I almost get pushed, in a very polite, gently way, until immigrations by the couple who tapped me on the shoulder and calmly said, "We'll work it out. First, we fix this. You say you never stumble over miracles, heroes, etc. Well, do you look for them and do you accept them when you see them? I get them in my face, and if I have to, I would stop the world for them all, to show my respect." My thought goes along the lines of, had I not accepted my character as a tour guide, had I then got the same response, "Karma dude, karma." Then I hadn't demonstrated to the couple in particular, who had even less misleading information about the trip than just the time it should take, that I will help them during the day, and I promise them that we will all go home together. It's not the same, I know. I offer my knowledge and time, no cost. They offer to lend a stranger, looking like me, and still from a Thai perspective, a large sum of money. Cost, a large sum of money, and perhaps broken trust. It is love for fellow man, and do I recharge my hope for humanity along people like them? They can see the man in the mirror, and I do believe they share my beliefs in this and that, like what is the true Santa story, and what it got to do with the holy oil, etc. We're coming over with the bigger boat today. I don't like it. Stinks of exhaust and makes a lot of noise. It takes 15 to 25 minutes to cross, depending on whether we stop on the way and the weather, still water, small fast boats. For my own part, I could have gone back as soon as everything was ready in Myanmar. Lunch is included and consists of heated rice and some meat, not exactly filling and unfortunately not worth the trip. I think more people are starting to feel the same way. The journey is unnecessarily long already, and the only thing in the hotel, that more people now call the Shining, that attracts is the balcony and its wonderful view. After lunch I got the joy to see my friend from my first trip, who told me about a few things about the war and how it was the reason to why I could not enter the country in the first place. Our journey back began in the last daylight and it quickly turned into total darkness, and as always the strangest solutions emerge at that time. Like no one sees, which you don't do in many cases. Which is life-threatening. This is Thai roulette, headlight to headlight style, even if many ain't working. They turn the already dangerous darkness into directly life-threatening once they load small flatbed trucks so that the space left for the road signs above the road is no more than 50 centimeters. You think they go slow? They passed us, dude. Cars on the wrong side, some with some without headlights. This is where mopeds come at full speed in all directions. If you think that they turn their head in any direction when turn onto the main road, you're wrong. They turn straight out, and it doesn't matter if it's with or against the traffic. According to credible information, Thailand has the most fatal accidents in the world. I'm just surprised I haven't seen more. Do any of us learn? No, put me on a Yamaha R1 and tell me to take it easy. You will realize that we have different perspectives on what calm means, even though I've been in both situations, the boy on the ground and the person sitting next to. I love speed too much to give it up if I get the chance. Therefore, I try to refrain from the temptation completely. I'm not afraid of dying. I've already tried a few times and it wasn't for me. I cannot cast the first stone, not even a little gravel. I understand the need to sometimes go against the traffic to maybe save 1.5 kilometers. If you have the same journey a couple of times a day, it quickly becomes long, in a culture where time is seriously money, otherwise you starve. Making that decision yourself is one thing, but when it involves consequences for others who didn't make that decision themselves, I accept both sides' arguments, but as always, I do what I want because I've done it already and I'll do it again most likely. We passed a couple of events along the way, what I thought was a weddings, from what our Thai driver said. The faith and hope of love, a substance in the brain. Congratulations, but I appreciate the beauty of simplicity in the understanding of what's needed and not. You put out some large road markers, something that lights up, and then set out with chairs and tables and dress them nice. If you think I'm talking about 15 to 20 places, think again. I'm talking about 200 to 400 seats, stage, catering for the entire party, and the road will partly be a parking lot but also part of the area. No one bothers about it, which surprises me, but I enjoy the harmony of it all. Everyone is happy for the people's happiness, and instead of pestering by honking and being negative, they are genuinely happy for the people and almost thank them for sharing this big day with us. Do it in Europe and it's not just the government tax you have to worry about in the future, if you still have a future left even before the party started. Mopeds, without lights but maybe hazard lights, no helmets as if it would have protected in a head-on collision, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 people at the same time on a moped, and it's nothing unusual. Usually 2 adults and a child or 2 wedged somewhere or clinging like a monkey to someone's back, hoping to survive the trip. It's crazy sometimes, but it's according to my values based on my experiences, so I accept it and learn from the new knowledge that both Thailand and Myanmar give me on my travels. A new truth about simplicity. This trip took me on a completely different journey than just 1,100 kilometers by car and then boat. The understanding, the acceptance, the humility, as well as the raw reality in contrast. It was a lot to take in when the eyelids finally fell heavy, and the last thing that went through my head before the day dawned again was the date of my new stamp in the passport. Now I've tried to overstay and it's not for me either, so what now?